Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome. I call this meeting of the Fraser Planning Commission for August 3rd, 2022 to order, and the time is 7:01. If you'll join me in standing and starting our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now we'll begin with roll call. I don't see Cynthia, so
Alicia will be.
Alicia, you do it? Okay.
Commissioner Barr.
Here.
Commissioner Sarnicki.
Present.
Commissioner Farina.
Here.
Commissioner Kyles excused. Commissioner Meyer.
Here.
Commissioner Perry.
Here.
And Chair Warnick.
Here. Thank you. Now we need approval of the agenda, item number 3. Is there any discussion or comments on the agenda? Nothing?
Okay.
If not,
I move to approve the agenda.
okay, motion then from Commissioner Farina
I'll support.
and supported by Commissioner Zarnicki. Okay, to accept the agenda as presented. We're not doing roll call votes on that anymore, right? Yeah, okay. So agenda item number 4.
Take a vote at all?
Oh, that's right. We should do that, eh? Okay, all in favor? Approval of the agenda? Aye. Okay, any opposed? None? Okay.
Thank you.
So it's approved. All right, my opening remarks then. Start with that. Let's see what we got. Yep. Tonight's meeting will follow the agenda that was posted online as printed for you here. Before we begin, it's important to let everyone know that the Planning Commission is created by state law. The commission is comprised of 7 members, all of whom have volunteered to serve. Members are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by City Council. The role of the Planning Commission is to plan and promote the efficient, coordinated development of the city for the health, safety, and general welfare of its residents. We're not here to negotiate with applicants or allow everything an applicant is requesting. However, the Planning Commission does have the power to approve certain requests and recommend others, depending on the nature of the request and whether all the standards in the zoning ordinance have been met. The Planning Commission may also impose conditions on a proposed project in order to ensure that those standards are met. Other individuals with us here tonight are representatives from the legal firm of O'Reilly Rancilio PC and representatives from McKenna and Associates, the city's planners. Procedure followed by the Planning Commission for public hearings first involves the city planner providing an overview of each case. After the overview is completed, the petitioner will be asked to provide additional information and answer any questions the commission members may have. After the commission's questions, the public will be invited to speak, and each person will have one opportunity to speak. Must only speak directly to that specific case and must only address the commission, not the petitioner or anyone else in attendance. After the public has had an opportunity to speak, commission members may again ask questions of the petitioner, and then the commissioner will consider a motion. The commission will consider a motion. Now that we've gone over all these guidelines, I'll move forward with agenda item number 5. But first, per City Attorney Clark, I am going to announce that the city has received a request from Ms. Kendravas, who's attorney for Fraser Hockeyland, I believe, to participate remotely. That the city attorney has reviewed that and determined that it does not violate the Open Meetings Act, provided her participation is audible to others and that her participation is recorded. It would probably be advisable for her to indicate on the recording that she has requested remote participation and is willing to have her participation broadcast to the Planning Commission and others participating and have her participation recorded. Saying that, did we cover that? Is that all we needed to do?
I got an email back from her in response to Paul's email to her with the Zoom information, thanking the planning commission and the city for accommodating her by doing this, so
Okay.
she's on board.
Good. So, seeing that's done, we'll go to agenda item number 5, the approval of the minutes for June 1st, 2022's meeting. Any comments or on the agenda, or the minutes? Commissioner Farina.
On item 10, about halfway down, it says, "At this time, Commissioner Farina asked about Taco Bell." And I know it's not in the agenda, but nothing's been done there. On the brake for the headlights. And as a matter of fact, it's gotten worse. So you were going to look at that and see what could be done?
Yes,
Are you going to report on that?
sure.
Okay.
Should we save that till commissioners' comments after, normally?
That's what I thought.
Okay.
I have a comment.
Any, on the minutes? Okay, go ahead.
I have an
Commissioner.
objection. It's very minor, but it says that I enjoyed the activities. No, I was giving a compliment to the city because they have opened the tennis courts and they put in new ones. And every morning, at 7 o'clock, there's people out there playing tennis. And that's what I commented on. It was nice to see the tennis courts open and people using them in the city. That's the only objection.
Oh, okay. So under commissioners' comments?
Yeah, it said that I said I liked seeing activity. Well, that wasn't really what I was trying to say, and I didn't say that.
Okay, so we can clarify that. Do you have that down then? Okay. Any other comments or concerns?
I move to approve the minutes as amended.
Do we have a second?
I support.
Okay, we have approval from Commissioner Farina, support from Commissioner Zarnecki. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unopposed, the minutes stand with that one correction. Okay, thanks. We'll move on to item number 6, which is new business. And first, we have a public hearing. Now, Mr. Andrews, since we have the two items, one is the site plan and the special, and the public hearing, special land use hearing, we keep them completely separated, right? Or can we just, is there any,
I mean, I think that in the past, we have sometimes, conducted the public hearing portion. Can you move up to the microphone, please? The public hearing portion is a distinct part of it, but other than that, we have taken the SALU action and the site plan somewhat together.
okay, well, since we do have to have a separate,
You have
since
to
the
have a
public
public
hearing's
hearing,
required, we have to do that first, no matter what.
Correct.
So are the petitioners present for special land use 22-01, 34360 Utica Road, Shooter's proposed outdoor patio? Can you come forward and state your... You can bring another chair. You can have all three up there. We'll let you do that. You're not limited. Just make sure each of you pulls the microphone in front of you and first states your name, address, and what...
I'm Leroy Stevens, Stevens Architects, and I represent Shooters for this project that we designed the patio for them.
Okay, and your address.
Oh, 209 Huron Avenue, Port Huron, Michigan,
Okay.
4806.
Pull the microphone, though, when you talk.
Okay. Okay.
Well, wait, let's get everybody that's here.
Yeah.
Steve Teseski, 18841 Rockwell Street, Macomb, Michigan, 48042.
In your affiliation?
The owner's son.
Okay.
Trapko Taseski, 866 Majestic, Rochester Hills.
And owner?
Owner, yes.
Okay, thanks. All right, first off, let's open the public hearing. It is now 7:11 PM, August 3rd, 2022. So let's start first, if you will, with presentation by the planner first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This project is a request to install a 15-foot by 17-foot patio for outdoor dining on the north side of Shooter's Bar and Grill, which is in the Fraser Plaza condominium at 34360 Utica. The proposal is to have the patio to serve food and drinks, which the city zoning ordinance allows but does designate as a special land use subject to certain conditions. A public hearing has been noticed. We received no comments from that notice outside of this room. That permit, I think it's important to say, is subject to periodic review and potential modification if it is approved, including an inspection by the city not less than 6 months after issuance. We put in your packets a review against the general special land use standards which apply to this proposal, as well as a set of more specific standards for outdoor food and beverage service. In summary, we believe this project can meet all of those standards, both general and the specific approval standards. In earlier versions, the administration felt that the circulation lane was too close to the proposed patio. The patio is proposed to take up a few parking spaces just outside of the building. The petitioner, in response to those comments, added planters to slightly realign the circulation pattern for the site. I think that is a solution that works. There might be a different solution that involves fewer planters, or the details that might be still to be worked out finally, but as it stands, I think it's an adequate solution that meets the intent of the ordinance.
Okay. Does petitioners have anything to add to the presentation?
I was contacted by them a few months ago to do this outdoor patio because all these restaurants are doing outdoor patios, so it's a thing they'd really like to do. We are planning on installing planters around it. Now, we have a few more than are required, but we really want it to break up also the view of the patio, so it'll make the patio look closer in and nicer. So it's something they'd like to do, and I think it's something that'll improve their business, and it's something that is good for the city also. Any other questions, I'll be happy to answer.
We'll do that. If everybody, the presentation, you guys are all set with that? Yeah. Okay, so we'll bring it back to the board then. Any questions for the petitioner? Commissioner Farina?
Are you going to have music out there? No speakers? Because I know, I've been in Shooters a number of times, it's loud.
Inside.
Thinking about an impact on the neighbors if you have speakers outside.
No intention of live music outside.
Okay. Paul, have you looked at the parking impact? Do they have enough spots?
I did. So by ordinance standards, the restaurant plus the addition of this patio, which has a slightly different ratio per the special land use, requires 60 parking spaces. There are approximately 85 parking spaces in the plaza. The other tenants include currently a vacant former coffee shop, a hair salon, another vacant space with a hair salon, and an appliance parts retail and repair contractor. The appliance repair contractor is open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. The hair salon is intermittently closed. I think in general the hours, the complementary hours of the tenants that are in there and the amount of parking provided is adequate.
Okay. Question, I didn't see any handicap parking by your spot.
There is way at the the south end of the west side, I mean. And there's 2 spots way down there. Now, when in this drawing, we weren't shown any handicap spots, and there's no way this number is right with those handicap spots because they're wider and have the access to them too. So they're van accessible to one. So them spots, I don't know where the number came from.
So how many spots?
Because
should
I
we
didn't
pick
count
up?
that many at all. And I kind of broke it up.
Right.
And there's like 8 spots that are being lost on that north side. So it's not just a couple, it's 8 of them. So I just want to, and that back has a dumpster over 2 or 3 of them. And so I think we need a little bit, just more clarity on where parking is going to be and how to designate maybe that dumpster separate from the parking. It's just confusing back there as soon as you get in the back. Is that all from you, Commissioner Farina?
I have a question on drive-throughs, but
Do you want, I don't know if Commissioner Zarnecki has something else on that or
I
on,
do, I didn't hear what Mr. Farina said right there, I'm sorry.
something on drive-throughs.
You're questioning the drive-throughs, or?
yes, they do.
Okay, I'm questioning more of the actual way the outside seating is going to be. Well, first of all, I'd like to know what where your planters are going to be and what it's going to look like. Inside the railing, outside of the railing, however. I've lost my, is it going to be an all-season patio? Are you going to have it open all year round? So what months will you have it open?
May to September.
May through September?
Yes.
And what hours, and I assume every day, but what hours were you thinking to have the patio there?
5 till 10 o'clock.
Tell me the hours again, I'm sorry. 5 to 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we will need to specify those hours, so we have to make that part of our, not just maybe this or maybe that.
Okay.
So
So if it's not all,
these-
oops, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
How late are you open? How late are you open?
To 2 o'clock.
Till 2 o'clock? I would think we'd want our hours from 5 to 2 a.m. when they close.
I think 2 a.m. might be, my personal opinion, might be too late in the evening, but that's just my personal opinion. But the hours are what we can set under the special land use.
Okay.
So you might want to confer with each other and come up with some hours before we vote on it. So if it's not all season, then we're not talking about heaters or fans or
No.
anything
No.
like that. Okay. How
Or
many,
tents in the winter?
No.
No tents.
No tents.
Paul, do we have anything in the zoning ordinance addressing the hours for that use?
Specific to this land use, no.
And the big thing is the impact on the outdoors to residents. I know they're not right adjacent. There are some, there actually is some, but I think adjacent to the south. Is it that? No, maybe not adjacent, but they're still within areas where they would hear things, so. Bear with us, because we're just trying to check the ordinance out. We could talk, anybody else, some other questions?
I have another comment, Mr. Chair, whenever you're ready.
No.
Just looking at, I can see it now.
Commissioner Zarnecki?
Do you need to move over?
No, I'm fine.
Mr. Taseski, am I saying that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, I did a site inspection the other day, and I drove by again this morning. There's some outdoor equipment at the
They
rear.
pull out yesterday. It's broken, the fridge, and we're gonna pull it out in the garbage.
Broken equipment?
Yes.
Do you
We're gonna-
plan
We're gonna
Go to the, speak up
throw it.
to the
Throw
microphone.
it in the garbage. It's going. I called somebody to pick up.
So, okay, you're in the process of picking up, okay.
Yeah.
That would be very nice to have that
Because
cleared
from
up.
yesterday, it's broken. I got new one.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't look very good,
Yeah,
so,
okay.
okay, that was my
thanks.
concern,
All right.
is to clean it up a
Thanks.
little bit.
Right, that's this, just talking about the standard, the use, the standards. There's no drive-through
No.
at all?
No.
So Commissioner Farina was questioning the use, this special land use approvals that relate to drive-throughs, but you wouldn't fall under those. Was there anything else? Because what we're looking at here is special land use approval right now, where we're going to have site plan things that fall in back and forth with each one. We're really looking, I think we should start with the standards. Does everybody agree that they do meet the standards for special land use approval?
I'm worried about, well, this is
Go ahead,
site plan comment. I'm worried about parking because we're looking at parking for Hockey Land, and Hockey Land wants they're supposed to get a shared parking agreement. I'm not at all sure how many spots they're supposed to have, because I don't see it designated here. And do they have a shared parking agreement in place? Do you guys have a parking agreement in place with
We
other?
don't talk nothing.
With Hockey Land?
We don't talk. They use sometime our parking lot. Sometimes we use it when it's busy. We never talk about to share it or not.
You don't know about their extraordinary event
No.
thing oh, that's interesting.
They're not one of the parties.
This property, Commissioner Farina, is not part of the Hockey Land's parking allocation.
I thought it was.
The total soccer property is, and
Yeah.
and all of the other
Okay.
neighbors, but not this one.
I'm sorry. Okay.
So that shouldn't be of concern. If they're doing it without knowledge, and that happens, you're going to have people come in and they think that's parking for Fraser Hockey Land. You don't have any barrier that prevents them from using your parking place.
We got on our
unless-
back.
Yeah.
Not on our side.
But nobody
No.
patrols that.
No.
And that's.
Nobody.
So I think either way, we're going to have things happen where one uses one and one uses the other. As long as the number of spots that you have meet the required spots for your
Okay.
building. So that's our main concern right now. Commissioner Zarnicki?
I'm sorry, yes, I have another question, and maybe it's more towards the administration. On my site inspection, the paving in front of the building is very poor. And I was wondering, under special use, can we have something done with the paving? Or because it's a condominium project, I don't know how that relates.
Well, I think if it's directly related to this use, that can be part of a condition of approval. I am not certain of the maintenance agreements or if,
Among the kind
correct,
of,
if you can compel one applicant to.
right, I can't
behalf
just
of
tell the shooters to say, hey, fix the pavement.
Right,
It's got to
right.
be the whole condominium. So how do we?
We got
address
meeting next week about fixing the paving.
that? Can you repeat that for me, sir?
We got meeting for the all guys to fix the paving up front.
So you're thinking about redoing it?
Yeah,
That would be
yes,
excellent.
yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
With all that, just for the public's, now, just as a condominium complex,
Yes.
so each one owns their individual, even though they're joined, there are shared things among everybody there. Parking-wise, I don't think there's anything else there that generates the kind of parking that you guys do. Can you think anything there that has they probably have more parking for each of them in front of their spots than they use, I'm guessing. But I guess when the hours of operation of yours are theirs open, when your busiest time is nighttime, I would
Nighttime.
take it. And those other units aren't being
They close.
used. But now, does anybody try to control the ones in their spots, or is there an actual agreement?
No, nobody.
Nobody does anything with
Yeah.
it. I'm just thinking down the road, everything, there should be some shared agreement. I don't know that we have anything on file here at the city. We should have the condo documents on file, so maybe there is something with that. I'm just trying to, for clarity, purposes, it'd be nice to know if there was, but you never got anything that you know? Okay. So it all comes down to, is there enough parking for this establishment to have this after taking away some of the parking? Commissioner Farina?
It's not me.
Oh, sorry. Commissioner Renee?
I have a question. The door that's on the north side of the parking lot, is that a means of egress door?
Yeah.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Exit door.
It is an exit door, but is it a required means of egress?
No, it's not really required, but it has an exit sign on it, so.
And on the plan, you're showing a gate. Will that be locked? No? Okay.
Won't be locked.
Pardon?
It will not be locked.
Okay.
I would make that a part of any approvals, that it stays open, because with your occupant load, I think you still need that egress.
Oh, I think the reason we put a gate on, the reason it's unlocked is because it has an exit sign, so it would be used as a exit.
Just checking. And the planters that you're proposing, are those going to be freestanding, or will they be anchored into the pavement?
No, they're really outdoor planters, so they're heavy, but they're not really anchored to the pavement. No, they're
Okay.
freestanding.
And are those, do you have a manufacturer for those, or are those something that will be built on site?
No, they're manufactured.
Okay,
There's a couple of companies we looked at that they're precast, so they're
okay,
heavy, and they'll be out there year-round.
okay.
So we did see some variety in there, but you haven't picked one exactly? There is one of those that we see in our drawing.
One that you see in there is pretty close to what we're thinking, but we're getting prices on them, so there's really three manufacturers to get a price from.
Is it
I'm sorry. We would,
is it the elongated ones, or is it
Yeah,
the ones that are
no.
just square?
no, the elongated ones.
So they'd
these
be
would 4
elongated.
feet
So
long.
we'd have less openings, probably. Okay.
And they would be, they're made for outside, and they're made for
Yes.
year-round.
What I always worry about, well, you got a gate on the other, is it gated between them? Or is it fenced
No, we
between
leave
them?
a space there, so when you
Yeah,
get the
so-
gate, you can go right out. You know.
Yeah, so really, what does the gate do?
Well, the gate is required by the liquor control.
Yeah. The whole thing, I know it comes to security. You got people there and they'll bail on their bill, I guess, if nobody's watching them. So you can't watch them as good probably out there. So I'm sure that down the road could turn into something that you might say, we're going to close this all off.
Well, I think if anything, we'd put a camera out there. But under the liquor control, we need a gate, because the gate, they look at it the opposite way. Somebody can't come in, and a child or something can't come into the space.
But they will, those spaces aren't going to be that small between the planters.
No.
Yeah. Commissioner Farina.
I continue to worry about sound out there. Where you have the bars on the planters, have you looked at any kind of walling to put like a sound barrier so all that noise doesn't radiate out into the neighborhoods?
Well, we're really, I understand what you're saying. We're really on the north side, so we face that big parking lot. But also, the planters have plants in them, and that absorbs, that's really the key to absorbing noise, is the plantings in the planters.
So we'll have a height,
Yeah, they're going to be, the plantings are probably going to be 2 feet high above the planter. You know, say the planter's 30 inches, you're going to be up.
I'm looking at your drawings here. This is totally open.
Yeah.
And here, this drawing on the bottom, there's all openings in between. There's nothing to stop sound there.
No, we want some openings, because we want to be able to have a breeze come through there. So, no, it's not really, I don't think sound's going to be a problem if we don't have any music out there. We just have people talking, and it's on the north side of the building, kind of away from everybody. But we are having these planters, so it has some enclosed feel to it. But we're not putting a canopy or anything open, so and that's the other thing. It's strictly for good weather.
just looking at all the bar things and that, you know you're going to have people going out there to smoke. That's
Oh, yeah.
probably the biggest thing. And so they're going to be standing.
Yep.
So not people are not using all the seats. How many seats are you going to have out there that are actual seats?
Well, it'll be limited by the fire department. Actually, your fire department will limit it. And the liquor control limits it also, but the liquor controls are a higher number. So it's the really, real limitation would be your city's fire department.
Yeah, because with people standing there, I'm sure, because you need aisleways and everything. It's still an egress. It's still part of the structure when it comes to egress,
So
so.
usually what happens is we get it built and get it set up, and then the fire department comes and does a final inspection. And at that time, he usually gives a limit, you know.
Yep.
And it's not, it's not like 36, it's like less than 50 or something. You know, it's a number, it's a round number. It's not really 21 or something. So they usually give that. They actually, either we make the sign or they make the sign and post it.
But you have to be planning, I'm asking the owners now, for some number of people to be out there. What is that number you're planning for?
I don't, we haven't really talked about that, I don't think, but let me see.
Mr. Urbil, has this plan gone to the fire department? To the fire
The site
official?
plan has, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
What's a rule of thumb for, you looking at having round tables for 6, square tables for
4.
4?
For 4 people, square one.
So if it's for 4 people, Mr. Architect, there's got to be a rule of thumb, square footage.
How many tables?
Yeah, I'm gonna look up
They
the,
don't know.
You need to know.
Yeah.
I think you do know.
so usually it's about 20 square feet per person on a place like that. So I think a patio, what's the size?
It's actually in the zoning ordinance.
You probably have something in your.
Yeah. I believe, do you know what the number is for the area?
5, 10,
The occupancy number?
Yeah,
15.
because we got to have an occupancy load. Fire's going to have to
It's 15,
give it an
17.
occupant load.
We're not gonna have a lot of, a lot of people out there. We're gonna have like 30. Is all that'll really hold. Now, I agree with you, if there are guys out there or people out there standing around and smoking, that could up the load. You know. But it'll still be limited to the ordinance and the fire.
Right.
Fire's really.
I just, see, when we get a plan and they show the interior, they show the table set up, the way everything is, and everything's figured from that. And this being part of the building, we should probably have had a plan maybe of what you're going to use there. Makes it more complete. I just think we're missing some stuff on here that, when I don't see those handicap spots on there, and I counted, I think we're accurate with all the ones that follow your building line from the south end up. That's all shown. I think there were 9 against the building, against building, 14 against the road. But I really, you're the most active thing there, I think. And I think the handicap spots should have been put at the main thing. And there could have been, when it was ages ago, Frank's place and all the other things it was before that. There were handicap spots, I believe, there.
I would
Things have
think when
changed.
they repave, we're gonna re-stripe it so we could put handicap spots by the entrance.
I think they should be right, they're supposed to be the closest spots, and the thing is, when these places are unoccupied down at the end, and that's where the 2 handicap spots are, I think we need to update and be more realistic at what it is now. And I think with your use being the most active thing there, it really should be there. Any other?
I have a question. Is there any ramp area down near Shooters for handicap? I'm sorry, when I went out there, I didn't check that, and I'm just thinking about it now.
Yeah, I don't know. Outside the front entry, does it ramp to the parking lot?
It's all pretty flat right
I thought it was pretty flat. There's no step, so that's your ramp, basically. Commissioner Myers?
The sidewalk that's on the north side of the building, are you planning on keeping that, or is that going to be removed when you put in the new patio?
there. That'd be removed where the patio goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you planning on putting in any exterior lighting? Okay. What would the lighting look like?
Yeah, by the door.
Just be some wall lighting on the building.
Wall packs? Okay.
LED. probably.
Okay.
I think we're really going into a lot of the site plan things here, and we probably are getting carried away because we're trying to get everything, so we're basically combining the two, and we need to first address the special land use. So let's pull it back a little. Let's go back to that and see first that this can be, before we going any further, that if this board approves that. Because like Mr. Farina just brought up there, we got pictures here, and it shows it is a step up from the parking lot up to the concrete. So at the front northwest side of the building, the side facing Utica. So that, and it might be different right by the door. I can't remember. So it might be, we might have a ramp placed there, right over there. So if that's the case, but oh, there we go. That's way down. There's the handicap spots.
Yeah, there's one right.
Yeah, it looks like there's nothing ramp there. So if we move a handicap spot over there by your unit, we're going to have to also have it ramped. And it can't project any more into the parking spot.
So I think we really are looking for right now, the zoning.
Yeah.
And we're looking for site plan, but we
And then
still
we'll
have to go to building.
Right.
Building will do all this handicap. We have to go to building and fire.
Well, we have to address certain issues too with that first. But that's the site plan approval. So let's get back and we'll hold some of these things. I think there's more. We got to talk about the signage and stuff like that. So let's pull it back, go to the special land use approval. And we still got to open public hearing. So are there any more comments on that from members of the board? No more. Let's take it back to the public and open up that, any participation from the audience. Seeing none, bring it back to the board. Any final comments or motions or give a second to anybody's got to review anything?
Mr. Chair, I guess I would like clarification. I know what a special land use is, and I saw site plan, but should we go forward with a motion on this, on the special land use? A lot of the concerns relate to the special land use.
But the
So-
public hearing is only that. Can we do that and hold a motion till after? Or, because we're not closing the public hearing yet, right? Or, yeah, I did close. We're closing the public hearing, so I should at least, let's make that official. Public hearing is closed at 7:41. And let's entertain how we want to handle this then. We want to go forward with the rest of the site plan and make part of our motion. Can we join the motion, or we still need two separate motions?
Should have two separate motions.
Two separate motions. So we're still going to have to address that. I'm looking for any other comments from the board then to,
I'm going to suggest we postpone the item to bring back the site plan.
and
that's so
can we do
associated with the
that,
special-
postponing it at this meeting and bring it back the same meeting? Because we got to postpone it to a date certain. Can we just postpone it till we're done with the site plan?
Yes.
I don't think that you have to officially postpone and take up the site plan. I mean, I think you can go back and forth, but I think that ultimately you need a.
We'll need two
separate
separate
motion.
motions still, but we can do it at the end of that.
Well, then let's
So it's
do
not
site
part of
plan.
that, the
The
public
impression-
hearing now is done.
Right. The impression I'm getting is that there are commissioners that feel that they would like to have certain site plan questions answered and what the impact that might be on the special approval land use before they vote on the special
makes
approval
sense.
land use.
Yes,
I think
thank you.
that's-
That's
We're
exactly.
in
where
agreement. I
going.
think we're all in agreement there then. Okay, so let's just continue then. Let's go back to the site plan then. I know we've had some comments from the planner on the sign, the conditions of the signs. And I think that's one issue. Anybody else?
The dumpster?
The dumpster. So let's address things one at a time as we're talking. Let's go to the signs, since I already brought it up. We've got a sign in disrepair in the back, I know. The front was okay, I believe, wasn't it? It's the rear sign
Well, why
that's,
don't you, he's got a shot of it. Why don't you-
yeah, if we can see it.
It's both,
I order.
the S on the front sign is damaged.
Okay,
We already have deposit in. Next week, they should both be repaired.
okay. So if we're taking notes, then one of the things is the repair of the sign.
The applicant mentioned lighting. We need a lighting plan.
Yeah.
That should be one of the requirements for the site plan.
So, do you have any consideration of lighting at all, of what you plan on doing? I don't know if I missed it when you were talking.
No, I think that we don't have a lighting plan or a photometrics. Our idea would be, it only sticks out 15 feet, so our idea would be just use some wall packs on that north wall. Oh, no, along there.
As long as they're shielded from any adjacent, it's tough parking there. The parking lot is, being part of Fraser Hockeyland and everything makes things real tough. Shielding, you can still at least point it downward and keep it within that area.
Sure, we can buy lights that have a cutoff on them.
Yeah.
They'll have a cutoff out, we're out 15 feet, and plus we got a few feet, so maybe the cutoff is like at 20 feet. And,
Okay, so lighting plan, sign repair. Handicap parking, I think we need to keep with that. And,
What we're really talking about handicap parking is we have it all at the south end now, so it'd be nice to have something
yeah, and
north end where we are.
yeah, and I still want to make sure the number of parking spots meet the number of handicap spots. And that we have the right number of parking spots still. Has there been any of the calculations that the planners have done
As far as
number of spots we need? Adding this, because this is still part of the building, so now we got to change.
Right, so the ordinance says that the building itself is 5,200 square feet, that unit, plus the addition of the patio is a total of 60 spaces.
Okay. So we got that with the combination of the others no matter what, but how many spaces are actually at their end? Do we know that? I think I got 9 and 14, so we got 23 in the front. We lost the 8 on the side. But there's still plenty going down, which would be shared or whatever. And in the rear, I think I counted 14 too from what I took was the building line. But against the building, it was a little different because of the dumpsters. I think we need to do some restriping no matter what to get the parking. I actually took pictures and wrote down the number of spots.
when your original plan was approved, where were your dumpsters located?
We
When you
we weren't involved in the original building.
No,
They
I'm talking
purchased
to the owner.
No, but the owner's he wasn't involved when it was originally built. He bought it way later.
What about the windows in the front? Have they been prepared?
We have a deposit in for that, and I think 4 to 6 weeks, I think they said is the time.
How did that happen? How did they break down?
Storm last year, last October, I think, was it break.
It's not required. It could be, but it'd have to be fixed up completely.
I ordered it.
You ordered a window? So there will be glass there in place? Okay.
Empty glass.
I want to count these.
So they have the glass is coming from Harmon. I don't know if you know Harmon Glass, but it's a pretty big company.
Yeah,
14
So they bought them from
yeah.
Harmon.
So the frame's there, they're just replacing the glass.
Empty glass.
Yeah.
So we have to also include months of operation.
Times,
Times.
open times. I'm still having trouble coming up with 60 spots.
Especially if you convert some of those to handicap.
Yeah.
Terribly well marked.
No, we'd get 60, I think. Still, when you take away, I'm thinking 4 spots for the dumpster. Because you also got a grease trap probably out there, right?
Yes.
So with a
Yes.
combination of the grease trap and the dumpster, is everybody use that dumpster?
Yes, everybody.
Everybody in the complex?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't even allow a dumpster in that, the way it is, because it needs to be shielded and all that, an enclosure, and I don't know where it was originally. We're talking, even though I've been here since it was built. I can't remember where it was, or if it had it. Well, that looks like it would be an area for it, way on that side. There's no other dumpster there besides yours, right?
No.
And I know the convenience probably there, but if it was designated and it's shielded maybe in this far corner, and I didn't even think of looking there, is anybody else? Can we see a rear view? I don't know if you can. Because that was a front Google view or something, wasn't it, or street view?
Correct. No. Unfortunately, it doesn't.
We can't then?
It doesn't go to the back end.
Well, can we do an aerial view?
Sure.
Let's see an aerial view. At least that'll tell us what's on that angle there, because it looks like a perfect spot for a dumpster.
Dumpster's there.
So, wow, that's bigger than it looks on here. Are those cars parked there? So we don't show any parking.
This end of the building, the spots are striped.
Oh, that's where yeah, we got to get to the south more. That's the north end. There we go. Yeah, there's no parking spot there. It looks like wasted space. A dumpster should be there, and I would think just using logic, when this was designed, I know the ordinance always had a dumpster clause in it, and you could check with the dates at the bottom of each section of the ordinance, and I'm sure it was back. Do you know what year this building was built?
I don't know. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950. 1950.
I'm gonna guess, it was probably the late 60s, early
I
70s.
believe it was the early 70s.
Yeah. But it just looks like a perfect spot, and I think we'd meet our handicap, or our parking spots better if that dumpster could be put over there. It's gonna be inconvenient for you the most because it's the farthest away. But we would be shielded on, and not the side where the old bank was. Is that a drive-through still? What is there now?
No. No drive-through.
No drive-through anymore, so you really, probably that rear spot, I don't know that it's not a bank. Oh, it is a credit union then, yeah. So they probably do have drive-through service, if it's there.
They got their drive-through.
They've got a drive-through service, that's what I mean. But we're not shielding, so really can be an eyesore if that dumpster was put there. The first people that are gonna come here and complain are them, because now everybody's looking at a dumpster. So, Clark, how far can we go to require the current standards if this wasn't a pre-existing building? There's no shielded area right now for a dumpster.
Well, I think that generally speaking, the city has a right to try to get people to upgrade their sites as they add new things, and this outdoor patio is an enhancement to their site, and I think it's reasonable to try to make it in the compliance to a greater extent, especially when, in the case of this parking thing, we're concerned that whether there's enough of parking and whether it's appropriately spaced, and I think that if you're losing area because of the outdoor patio, it's completely reasonable to make the parking be a pretty important part of it. And,
So no matter what, they're gonna bring in more people, or their hope is,
right,
by having more spots.
and they're gonna have fewer
And
parking.
fewer parking spots. I would just think, Tom, that you probably want this looking nice because Fraser Hockeyland's doing big improvements, and you're gonna have more people viewing yours. You probably want it looking the best. That dumpster really takes away from it there. And I think we need to get that dumpster probably in that location over there. Whether we can,
Does Fraser's current standards require like an enclosure or whatever?
yes,
I mean, I think that would be something that would be
we can,
reasonable to do,
the code says pour decorative concrete.
right, but I'm just saying that
But-
if they're adding this hopefully positive decorative outdoor patio, and it seems reasonable to try to upgrade the site some and make I mean, people are gonna be more directed to the outside as a result of this improvement than they would have been otherwise. I mean,
Right.
otherwise they'd park their car and walk in, and they wouldn't pay as much attention to it. So it seems to me that it's reasonable to have some screening for the dumpster and try to make it as attractive as you can.
I would think, Tom, you probably would like all those spots filled, right? The parking spots?
Yes.
So I think we need to now, the only thing is we have accepted different things from poured decorative concrete, and we've had fences and 6-foot-high fences with, I think we've even done chain link with a protection. Nothing with chain link. We've done vinyl and
Board and
poured is what, but we've accepted.
Block.
Yeah,
block with a facing on it.
yeah, the poured decorative is what it says in the ordinance, I think. So, I mean, I think we need to get something, though. We need to, maybe we just postpone this. I mean, you guys are ready to get going with it, or if
We'd like to go.
Yeah.
We'd like to get going on it, but we have to go to the building department, so we could agree tonight to do it, and then we'll do it how the building.
That would be good, since we don't have it in front of us.
No,
I think it's up to us, that's our duty
Yeah.
to add things to make it come in more compliance.
So I think if we agree to build it, then we'll go to the building department on the decorative wall.
We could do that.
And then I
The good
think
thing
we're-
is, you already got one wall there.
Yeah, and we'll agree to restriping the parking lot. I think if they're going to pave it, we're going to restripe the parking lot with more ADA spaces.
Yes.
And some down by us.
Yeah.
So we can pave down by us.
So we definitely need, I think, 3 spots for the handicap. If there's you say there's 60 spaces, so 1 per 25. So you're gonna need 3 anyway, and there's only 2 there now.
No, so I think we want to put a couple down by us.
Yes. And then you can leave the other ones there and
No,
meet.
when they do that, they're gonna lose spots because
Right.
the handicaps are bigger.
But I
spots.
started counting, and I don't think we're gonna have a problem. If they get rid of that dumpster, 60 won't be a problem.
Well, you're at 60 now if you take out 5 for dumpster.
Well, we're adding some, well, if you go back up to our end, now there's some on the north wall, but
I'm counting,
we're sitting some out here, and
I'm counting your drawing right here.
yeah, okay.
Well,
We're at 84.
Yeah, that's what I was coming up
We
higher.
only need 60.
oh, I didn't
Only
count these.
60.
I didn't
We
count-
got, and that's getting rid of the 8.
We're way above it.
So we are, that's what I feel too. And if we change few to handicap, we're gonna lose,
Yeah.
say, 1 more for 2
I didn't
handicap
take these
spots.
into account.
Oh, yeah, you gotta count all those. So I think we're good, and if we do a motion, we can make that part of the motion then for that. Anything else that jumps out at anybody?
Do we do one motion or 2 motions, or?
We're gonna have to do 2 motions still, no matter what.
Okay.
I'll speak for myself. I'm not ready for a motion. I mean, I'll vote if there's a motion on the table, but we have so many outlying items that belong, that are for the site plan that are associated with the special land use. And don't get me wrong, I want your, patio out there. But this site plan is what we are approving, and you're adding things, and it's verbally, it's not an actual site plan. I mean, this site plan's gonna go on the record.
Right.
So if we ever have to revert back, it is going to look like what we have in front of us.
Yep.
So I will oppose any motions this evening, but I will be happy to postpone the item and have the applicant come back.
You can make that motion. Anybody else, any comments?
No, I agree with her.
So does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll move to postpone the action on this until we get a proper site plan. And
What about special land use first? Let's go with that. Let's do a motion for that.
okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
how long is it going to take them to get a revised site plan with the things that the planning commission has raised tonight? Because it'd be better to postpone it to a specific date rather than just indefinitely.
Right, because they want to get things going too. So, do you understand then?
Yeah, no, we
trying-
can be at your next meeting.
Okay.
But we should get the special land use approved, so we don't have to have another public hearing and things. And then we'll
That's-
do the site plan. We'll update our site plan.
Does that make the most sense?
But we've already closed the public hearing on the special land use. All you have to do is take a vote on that at the next meeting. You don't have to have.
But we can postpone the vote.
Pardon?
We can postpone the motion,
You can postpone the action on this.
even though the hearing's closed, and we'll have to notate that.
On the basis that you're also postponing the site plan, and you feel like you need to have the answers that you get for relating to the site plan before you can make a motion on the special approval land use.
Guidance.
They're interconnected, particularly when the issues that have been raised about the site plan impact the special land use.
Yep. So, let's start with special land use. Anybody have a motion?
Move to postpone special land use to our next meeting, where we'll have a look at the site plan, and depending on, you know, what the site plan is, we can authorize or not.
I think we can keep this one simple then, and put the specifics on the site plan one.
Correct.
So that motion, do we have that motion? Repeat it, repeat the motion.
I think the motion was to postpone the action on the special land use till the September meeting, which is at September 7th.
Okay. Do we have a second on that?
I will support.
Support from Commissioner Zarnicki, motion by Commissioner Farina. All in favor? I think we need a roll call vote on this. So,
Commissioner Barr?
I agree.
Commissioner Zarnicki?
Yes.
Commissioner Farina?
Yes,
Or,
I affirm.
Commissioner Meyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
Chair Warren?
yes. So, that will come back at the next meeting. So the motion is to postpone till September 7th meeting. Okay.
But we should give them guidance on what we
Yes.
expect to see.
So we'll do that on the site plan,
When is the meeting? 7th?
September 7th.
7th.
Yeah, it should be the first Wednesday of September.
So, can we go through can we look at the site plan and get your?
Well, that's what I'm saying. We'll go through now, and the motion for the site plan, I won't accept until everybody gives input maybe as to what should be on that.
Yeah, that's what we like.
I think there should
So
be.
we started with that, but let's make it part of the motion.
I've been taking notes, and I said repair of the signs,
Yep,
lighting plan,
yep,
handicap parking,
yep.
handicap parking ramps, months of operation and times of operation,
Dumpster.
dumpster, dumpster placement and enclosure.
And we have all the spaces we need, so we're good there. So I think these are all basic things. Anybody else, was there another?
I will add the occupancy of the patio itself
Oh, yes.
and the planter
And a plan,
arrangement.
plan for the tables and everything?
Yes. And the planters, the setup for the
You
planters.
forgot something.
Wait, I kind of missed on that.
And a bike rack.
Table layout on the patio?
That's true, we need a bike rack.
Okay,
We
Yeah,
do need a bike rack.
yeah.
Would you be amenable to a bike rack?
sure.
Helps bring customers.
Helps bring me.
Yeah. Okay, so if we have that list,
What
Is any-
else was on the patio? The table layout, but I thought you said something
The
else.
planters
Oh, the
yeah,
planners,
and to just get an occupant load on that.
and an occupancy. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, the table layout.
Yeah. So let's go through that again and make sure.
Okay, I got it.
You got it? Paul, do you want to repeat it, or you got it down?
So the things to be resolved that I have are the repair of the signs, a lighting plan, date, times of operation, a plan depicting the occupancy and configuration of the planters, details about the planters.
And tables
Tables,
and chairs.
Yes.
tables, aisles, chairs, dumpster,
Months of operation, you got two? Okay. I think that's complete. Is that,
I think,
guys all
well,
set with that?
we're gonna also show that the window's been, probably the window will be replaced. but-
Yeah.
Because they're doing it pretty, well, the window is 6 weeks, but the sign is gonna be repaired.
it wouldn't be bad to add that on, though, that it's.
Yeah, we'll show it on the be repaired.
I think it's pretty basic stuff.
Yeah.
That you just need to update this plan. And then we have a plan that we can stamp approved, and it's here for life, until the next thing happens.
So let me ask you a question. You're saying the Fraser Ice Arena is gonna make changes. Is that gonna affect us? Are they building next to us, or are they?
Well, we approved a site plan, and
Okay.
so we're waiting,
Okay, so you've
building a
approved this.
parking lot in the middle of, they're building a restaurant and 2 other retail place in the middle of the parking lot.
In the middle of the parking out by the road, kind of like?
The plan it would be available at the plan.
We'll look at them. I didn't know you approved
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion on that? Is that a motion you started, I know?
You said to list the things. I didn't
Yeah.
start a motion.
We can relate to this as the list, I guess.
All right, I move to postpone action until our September meeting with the submission of detailed site plan with the list that has been supplied to the applicant.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Farina, supported by Commissioner Perry, and this is for SPR 22-01 at 34360 Utica Road, Shooter's proposed outdoor patio, and that's the site plan.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if he includes the September 7th date in the motion, then you don't have to remail and do all that.
Yeah.
I did say September, no, oh.
September 7th. Yeah,
September 7th, okay.
so you want to,
I'll amend that to say the
Amend it.
September 7th instead of September meeting.
do you still support that, Commissioner Perry?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, let's take a vote, roll call
Lawyers,
again.
you gotta love them.
Commissioner Barr?
Yes.
Commissioner Zarnicki?
Yes.
Commissioner Farina?
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
And Chair Warren?
Yes. So, we'll see you next month, September 7th, and just update that to include those things, and we should be, I think, a lot more current to what I think we need to see.
Okay, that's fine. I think
Okay?
we can do all that.
Thanks.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for,
Thank you.
Thank you.
look forward to seeing improvements there. Okay, so let's move on to 6B2. That's SPR 22-02, 34500 to 34650 Klein parking lot modification. Is the applicant here? Come forward. State your name and address.
My name is Jeremy Gillette. I'm the owner of 34650 and 34600 Klein Road, and I reside at 7911 Englewood in Clay Township, Michigan.
Thank you very much. Mr. Erbiel, if you can give us a background.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This project is a request to modify the site at 34600, 34650 Klein Road with the addition of a driveway to access, for vehicular access to the rear of the building. The site plan standards are triggered because it's a modification to an existing parking lot. The project, as we understand it, is to facilitate the reoccupation of the building for a contractor's office, mainly storage and warehousing, for a business called Centerline Heating and Cooling. You see in our, in the review and on the screen here, the scope of work is essentially to pave an area that is not paved adjacent to the rear parking line. We reviewed the site plan. Per ordinance requirements for the use, 10 parking spaces are required. There is more than enough room in this property for 10 parking spaces, but they're not striped, so I think the applicant is amenable to providing a plan that has striping so that we can confirm or have a record of the confirmation that the parking requirement is met. Ordinance requirements also require that striping exists on parking lots, so we recommend that that be part of this discussion as well. The location is adjacent to the Sweeney Drain, so there are additional permits required. We included in your packet a review from the city engineer, which points out those permits. The applicant has done that process, and I think maybe even has received one of those permits, at least. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, are there any questions for Mr. Urbiel?
I have more of a comment than a question. In your packet, you stated that there was 10 parking spaces that were required and that you wanted to see the site plan have the 10 parking spaces as well, but you also mentioned that they needed a 10-foot by 50-foot loading zone. Can we put in the in our minutes or that they need to show that loading and unloading zone as well on the site plan?
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other? No questions for, okay, we'll take it to the applicant then, to any thing you want to add to Mr. Urbiel's presentation?
Actually, just some things regarding the striping and stuff on the parking lot. I guess maybe from the aerial views in Google Maps, it didn't show it. I had taken some pictures actually this afternoon to represent all those parking spots. There's actually a handicap spot. There's right now 18 parking spots there. They are striped. We are looking at restriping them, but I would like to do it after, if we get approval to do the concrete, because as the concrete trucks come in and out, they're going to tear it up, and so I'd like to restripe it after the fact if this is approved.
When we were out there, there were parked vehicles. I think this is before you were cleaning
Yes.
it out, and it appeared to me that the aerial was accurate and there were no stripes, so my apologies.
Yeah, no problem. No, they are actually all gone, and if anyone would like to see the pictures, I do have them printed out, which I can bring to the front.
Sure.
Are the spaces going to be parallel or perpendicular? Parallel parking?
They are going to be actually running from the north to the south of the building, actually. So looking at to the left would be the north end of the building.
Okay.
And there's none, according to this, you don't even have room to put for in the front yard setback, right? So from the front building line forward, there wouldn't be any spots anywhere. And are you, there's spots on the south side?
I do not have anything on the south side because actually there is tenants currently occupying that property, which have been in there before I just purchased the property in April of this year, and they've been in there, as far as I know, for the last 15 to 20 years.
And they park over on the north side?
No, they do not park on the north side. The north side has actually left the building as of 1 week ago, so all the vehicles and everything in the parking lot now are gone on the north side. And that is the building that we are looking to warehouse our furnaces, air conditioners for my current business right now.
Okay, so there's no striped spots on the other, on the south side?
There is striped spots on the
Oh,
south side. I
they
just
do.
didn't take any pictures of it.
Oh, okay. That's why I was curious.
Yeah,
Making sure.
No problem, I'm
I
sorry.
mean, it's a big area.
Yeah.
There's plenty of room for parking,
Right,
and you meet the number easily.
right.
So it's not like that's an issue, it's just maybe,
They're faded over time.
Are you exceeding the numbers? Are you, expecting to use all those parking spots?
Oh, gosh, no. No, that's how it came, and no, I don't need all that, but
yeah, but
it comes in handy, I
we don't
guess.
want you taking them away from, because they were part of the, probably requirements for that
A
building.
lot of parking.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
Well, as far as
I
I
did
knew,
too.
that business used to be a cabinet manufacturing business, so they probably had a lot more employees back in the years.
Because you got an office area in the front.
Right.
So if they have, that can change. You can have one person running an office, you can have 12, 15.
Yep.
So that makes a big difference on what your spaces would be.
Exactly.
So, okay. But I'm, no matter what, they're covered for that requirement, no matter what, so we're good.
Yeah, they're covered. My head's thinking, can we put some greenery in there as opposed to concrete?
Actually,
That's
my
how
wife's
my head
already
works.
getting in there. She wants to already do some landscaping in the front because she thinks it's hideous the way it looks as it is.
Thank you. It's like, get some color in there.
Yeah. So, yeah, that line where we see, that's actually, the line in this corner is where concrete is right now, right? When you take that arched area, isn't that the approach there?
Yeah, in the front, you're talking about that rounded part?
yeah.
Yes, that is just rounded, and that's actually just, there's a tree right there. And
So there is a tree right in the center, too. Is that it? That's a tree in the center.
Correct. That is one big tree in the
One big
center.
tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Supposed to be rear.
Any other members have any questions?
Well, I have one.
Commissioner Barr,
Pardon?
go ahead.
I see you have a handicap spot, but I don't see the sign 5 feet above. There has to be a sign, either on the building or that. That's one of my pet peeves.
Okay.
When I was on the bench for the 39th District Court, I can't tell you how many people came in front of me with handicap tickets because it was rainy, it was dark, they didn't see the ground, and there was no sign.
Yeah, I think you're exactly correct, and I think there might be one missing, so I have no problem in posting that on there then.
Great. Thank you.
Was the handicap spot against the wall or against the outside
It's
property lines?
against the wall. It's, if you look here towards the bottom, it is actually right against the building in the front. Actually, that would be the northwest corner.
All you have to do is mount a handicap sign.
Yep,
there.
yep, that's not a problem.
Good, as long as it's striped right with blue.
Actually, it's striped blue and it has the handicap symbol on the
Yeah,
on
so
the
you just
ground.
need the signage.
Yep.
Okay. Any more?
Where would you put the loading and unloading spaces then?
Actually, the loading and unloading is actually right in the front. It does, there is a receiving door right in the, actually the lower corner. If you look at the southwest corner, right about there, there's a big loading door. I believe it's 12 foot by 18 feet high in.
That's where the spaces are then?
Correct.
Okay. Can you clarify for me, because I'm a little confused where the north and the south is, but, so your centerline heating and cooling, but, I don't know which side. The other side, the tenant is the C&M Auto?
Yes, actually, where he's pointing at, that is the tenant. That is not me. I am on the other side.
Okay, you're on the other side, okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Farina.
Yeah, with the addition of that pavement, Paul, do they have to hold that rainwater? I mean, they're dumping more water off of the thing. And do they require a soil erosion permit?
Yes.
That's all in the AEW report, too.
I didn't see that.
It
Yeah.
looks like there might be 4 permits that are required.
They have to take care of the sheet flow in that. There was one item on that.
there it is.
You see that, Don? Yeah, it's all in there. The floodplain, I was going to look at, because I have the floodplain maps, and I forgot to do that, and I was trying to look on my computer before we started the meeting. And I'm just curious, did you have anything on the floodplain? If that's in it, or is it at the edge of that, or?
I believe it is at the edge of it, and that's actually one of the engineer's comments as well, asking for the revision of the site plan
To include,
indication of that.
yeah. So as long as we get that, too. Here's my big thing, is putting that concrete there, what is it going to be used for?
It is basically only going to be used for accessibility to the building. There is emergency exits in the rear that actually were completely covered when I bought this building with vegetation, and it just grew wild. And literally, you couldn't get anybody through there or anything. We had actually recently cut it all down, but it is mainly to control the accessibility of the building at 360 degrees all the way around.
And the cat population has been probably still there, right?
The what?
The cat population.
You know what? I haven't seen cats back there,
You're-
but I found groundhogs, though, behind
Yeah.
the building.
Cats were big all the way down that Sweeney behind those buildings.
Yeah, it is, when I purchased the property, it was like a jungle back there. They couldn't even open the doors, the existing tenants, and we cleaned it all out and made it all accessible. But it's still difficult if somebody should have to, an emergency vehicle needs to get behind or
Yes.
anything, it's inaccessible at this point.
We would have probably at the initial onset made sure there was something that, so they can fight fires and stuff.
Right,
Here's my big concern, Jeremy. Jeremy, right?
yes.
People tell us that's just what it's for.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, code enforcement has to keep coming out there because now it's storage.
Yes.
And just so you know, you're telling us that's what it's for. This is documented. It's not going to be for storage, because outdoor storage would have to come to us again. Planning Commission approves outdoor storage.
Sure.
So it's not going to be fenced in. right? So there's access for the fire department?
Right.
Okay.
Now, someday down the road, I was looking at possibly putting in a fenced-in pen for some of my vehicles with gates to get through if that should ever move forward. That is not currently the process. I'm just looking in the future as anybody would, or future tenants, or whatever the case may be. So basically, my building that I'm in right now has a alleyway that we move our vehicles through, and sometimes our vehicles, our centerline heating trucks may sit there, but it's meant to be accessible. So if there was any kind of fence that would be proposed, it would have opening gates that could be accessed, so a truck could solely go completely around.
Well, that would have to come to us.
Yes, exactly.
So that's simple. We don't even have to talk about it.
Nope.
Because you're not doing it now.
I'm not doing that.
And if it comes up in the future, you just apply again for a
That is correct.
site plan.
Yep.
So, okay. Any other?
Will you be using, will you be plowing that and using either salt or calcium chloride on that back pavement?
I'm not planning on using any chemicals as of right now with our company that we actually plow our snow, but we don't use any chemical treatments or salt of any kind because it just destroys the concrete as well too. So, and I understand that this is actually a drainage basin anyway, so we really aren't looking to put anything into that.
Has there been any discussion with Edison or that, looking at the utility lines that are running north and south, and then as well from the utility pole into your buildings, those, especially the south tenant,
Yes.
those lines seem extremely low. It seems like something has to be done there before you drive vehicles back and forth.
No, you're absolutely correct. They are actually hanging down low. There's brackets off the building that broke off that are going to be resecured on there. So that is, the plans are to keep all those lines to the top of the building so nothing can damage them or hurt. There's been some neglect to the building when I bought this, so that's what we're trying to do is a bunch of updates to get this to a much better state and, correct all these matters.
So you'll be working with DTE with that?
Yes, definitely. And it's pretty easy. I'm a mechanical contractor,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, so that helps.
we'll make it happen.
But we appreciate that. We, just keeping up these buildings is always, it just beautifies the city more. And
Yeah, it has been neglected. And we got in there, and there's definitely a bunch of improvements we're looking to do. But in one sense, this concrete, I need it accessible. There's rear windows that are busted out, and I have people that want to come in and put new windows, but they want to work off the pavement before I can, because they got to run scaffolding through to actually block up those walls and replace all those broken glass panes that are in the back of the building as well.
it is a unique site compared to most industrial areas because you got the school across the street.
Yep.
You got homes to the south. And so it's been a beautiful, with that landscaping in front and everything, so anything anybody adds to that really keeps that thoroughfare looking nice, looking at the school. So you're not like a regular industrial
Right. It
area.
actually fits our business model perfect. I look for the long-term future. Actually, our business has been, well, actually, I'm third generation from 1936. So I've been looking for a building like this to eventually move into. And for what we do with no noise, no disposal, we're a heating and air conditioning business that, it's been in business for that many years. And so this actually fits our model of what we're looking to move into for the future.
So as long as you got enough storage in there, and you don't have to be putting all your tin outside and
Correct.
storing stuff out there, you don't want it in the weather anyway.
Exactly.
But then again, like we talked about in the back, somebody will put a roof system type thing all of a sudden, and we got some that doesn't look very appealing. And
No, my business, actually, my warehousing is a quarter of the size of what this is right now, and we have grown tremendously over the years. So
good.
I need somewhere to put my equipment as
Good.
of right now, and gradually move things as we progress. And
you'll keep them both open first, and then
Pardon?
you're going to keep both open?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Is your other facility in Clay Township, or is that just where you're?
Actually, my facility is in Centerline.
That's what I was going to say, it's probably in Center.
So actually, that's our logo of our company actually has changed because it used to be after the Centerline name. So my wife had translated into the Centerline architectural design. So when we move to Fraser, we'll still be able to keep the same name, but just represent something a little different.
Welcome to the city, then.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anybody else?
Frank?
Yeah, that's Frank's, and I think he didn't turn,
I didn't
so
turn it
I'll turn it off. Oh, I am? I learn as we go. And no other further comments or anything? Anybody in the public that wish to be heard? Seeing nothing there, bring it back to the board, entertain a motion.
I can make a motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Zarnicki.
I move to approve site plan number 22-02 for 34,500 to 34,650 Klein parking lot modification with the following conditions. The applicant furnished to the city a revised plan that includes the layout of parking spaces. The parking lot must be striped per ordinance requirements.
And the chair will second that. I'll support it. Huh?
Handicap.
Oh, did we have some, are we forgetting something else then? The handicap spots, well, the striping is going to take care of the handicap with the signs and everything. I would say parking requirements,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
you want to put in a condition that area would not be used for outdoor storage?
Yes, we can add that too then. So, Commissioner Zarnicki, would you like to amend your motion?
Okay, I'll amend it for the conditions to say the applicant furnished to the city a revised plan that includes the layout of parking spaces and handicap spaces? Is that what we're looking
Yes.
for? Okay. And that the parking lot must be striped for ordinance requirements, and that the area would not be used for for any outdoor storage.
And I will still support that. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
You should
Aye.
take,
Oh,
Take a
yeah,
roll
let's do
call.
roll call.
Commissioner Barr?
Yes.
Commissioner Zarnicki?
Yes.
Commissioner Farina?
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
And the Chair White.
Yes. Motion passes. Congratulations. So they will make sure, the building department, that he gets revised, because I don't know that there's any permits. Are you doing anything?
Well, we're just laying concrete, but I had
Oh, yeah,
already.
there will be
There will be
permits for
concrete.
the concrete. So in that, we'll just make sure the building department accepts that.
Okay.
Like we,
And then I'll just apply, and then I can finally apply for my building permit here.
yes.
Yeah, because I have already done the soil erosion permit, and I also got the encroachment agreement with Macomb Town.
Was Eagle involved too? Did you get Eagle? Always make contact with Eagle if there's anything that's the water system.
Yeah, that was, I've already
Taking care of that.
Yes, yep,
Cool.
Yep.
okay.
Good luck.
Thank you. Good
Thank you
luck.
very much, everybody.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Have a good evening.
Have a great night.
You too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so, new business still. We're under B, site plan other reviews to Part 3, SP 21-08, 34400 Utica Road Outlot Development, request for site plan approval extension. Is anybody here for that? Good evening. Good evening. You can give us your name and address?
Tom Jablonski, I'm with Big Boy Restaurants, 6359 Northfield, West Bloomfield. Before I start, your Zoom's not working.
Correct.
Okay.
I had asked Ms. Candrevas to call your phone.
I've got her.
Okay.
So she's on my
All right, so
phone.
let's get that straightened out first before we do anything.
So I think if you could just have that near the microphone so that
Oh, there you go.
might be
So your
recorded.
speaker's on?
It's on.
Good. We can do that then.
Any of you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, can you give us your name and address and affiliation?
Absolutely, I appreciate it. Thank you. Altania Candrevas, on behalf of Fraser Hockeyland as counsel. My address is 600 Hidden Lane, Grosse Pointe Woods, Michigan, 48236.
Thank you. Are we coming in clear to you?
Absolutely. Thank you so
Okay.
much. I can hear you.
Good, good. So, Mr. Urbiel, if you can give us a background on this one.
Yes, thank you. Commissioners, as you might recall, last August, and I apologize, I see my memo says 2020, it was in 2021. You approved a site plan application for the development of a restaurant on an outlot at 34400 Utica Road for the development of a Big Boy, as was mentioned. And given the history and the previous approvals of that project, it came with several conditions. My understanding of what has happened in the interim is that the applicant got cost estimates for the project, which I understand that once the cost estimates were received, the project was coming in at an amount that was not feasible. So there was a bit of a quiet period from the city's perspective where we were not sure what was going on, hence my reports to you in the past. I now understand that costs, that valuation process was happening, and in fact, the applicant was looking for ways to make the project more affordable. So in the past few months, the applicant has submitted draft agreements to Mr. Andrews as far as shared parking, shared access easements, and all those things that are required of the applicant as part of condition 11. There's been a little bit of back and forth. Mr. Andrews sent back comments. The applicant responded with comments. And I did ask that the applicant is here to request an extension of site plan approval since it did happen 12 months ago, and by ordinance, if you do not extend it, then the process would have to start over. The applicant supplied a letter to you after the publish of our packet, but you had it that sort of describes in their own words progress against the other progress against those conditions. So I mentioned the value engineering exercise. Last week, the applicant also provided a revised site plan to me. It is not in your packet as a review, just because I didn't have enough time to confidently say that this is in kind to what was proposed. I will say that from my estimation, it meets the spirit of what you proposed. The quantities of landscaping and things like that are there, and the applicant provided what is different about this plan versus the other one. Those 3 bullet points: the building size, square footage has reduced, the landscaping island that is on the striped area on the bottom right of your page in the previous plan, which I have on a later slide if you'd like it. That was once landscaping. That landscaping is in effect moved to the site that was formerly a patio, and there have been some modifications to the drive lanes, the corrugated median, which is right here, was once a raised median and now is proposed to be striping.
Supposed to be what? Didn't hear what you said.
Supposed to be striped instead, at the same level as the rest of the lot, but striped instead of a physical change of grade at that point.
Well, Paul, wouldn't that allow traffic to go out?
I'm sorry, wouldn't it allow?
If that part is not erased and just striped, wouldn't that allow traffic to exit that way?
Yes, I mean, I think the previous condition was a couple inches that I guess theoretically would do the same thing, but yes, this is less of an impediment for sure.
Do you know why they proposed it that way?
I don't, and again, since I didn't have I thought it was important to share it with you. I am happy to review it thoroughly if you prefer. to not talk about it until we have so I can speak in a more authoritative way about it. But I guess the applicant is here and may answer some questions. Ask them to sort of explain in their own words what's been going on for your benefit.
Okay.
Okay, that's it? Okay, so these are the only things, these are the three items that have changed on this site plan we approved.
But we're not approving the site plan.
We're not-
We're just talking about an extension, correct?
So, yeah, how would we handle coming back for a site plan amendment? Or can we do that here tonight? I mean, we didn't know we were doing that.
And it hasn't been reviewed.
I
No.
got the impression from Mr. Beal that he has not completed a review of the revised site plan.
That's correct.
Okay.
So he isn't asking you to
No, we're
take
extending,
that, but
yeah, we're extending the current site plan.
exactly. And one of the things that Altinia Condreas and I have been working on is trying to work through the shared parking arrangements. And I wanted to ask a couple of questions of the planning commission, because when they got to the point of actually negotiating these with Total Soccer and with these Fraser Public Schools, and what was the third one?
The Lions Club?
Lions Club,
Lions Club?
yeah.
No, the Lions Club.
Myers?
Myers. They came back with
Commissioner Warrencheck, if I may.
Oh, go ahead, is it,
various,
hold on one second, Ms.
suggestions or
Andrews.
whatever.
Is that it then? Can we accept her?
Well, yes,
Or
you
wait.
can delineate those two.
Okay,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Altinia.
Okay. And first of all, I apologize for not being able to be there in person. This meeting was obviously very important to me, and I'm actually calling you from a family vacation. So I apologize if my connection is not as clear as I would like it to be.
Very clear.
Mr. Andrews is very correct in that we have gone back and forth on numerous parking agreements. There were a total of, I believe, 4 shared parking agreements that needed to be in place. The Lions Club agreement actually has been in place since I believe the early 90s, I believe. So the Lion Club's agreement is already in place as a mutual shared parking agreement. The Meyer agreement, I believe we are in agreement in terms of the changes that Mr. Andrews wanted incorporated. I believe I have incorporated all those as requested. The Total Soccer agreement and the Fraser Schools agreement are the last 2 remaining agreements that I believe we're very close to an agreement on. The issue that Mr. Andrews is referring to is that we both wanted to discuss this with the commission, obviously, before we had any agreements signed and recorded for posterity with the Register of Deeds. These 2 remaining agreements, the Fraser Public Schools in particular requested that they be 4th on the list of total parking area usage, meaning that we would use Fraser Hockey Land first or Big Boy Arena first, and that in the event of only extreme events, obviously, we would use Fraser first, and then we would use the other remaining parking areas as needed, and then use the public schools at the end of it. And we just wanted to make sure with commission that was acceptable to you. This is a request directly from the public schools. This was not my request that I made to them or asked them to put that as a condition. And I believe it's from their purposes for wear and tear on their parking lot. And only, in the event that we did need those additional spaces. As it stands right now, I believe, and Mr. Erbil can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe with the other 3 additional parking areas that we could park in, the Fraser Public Schools parking area, if it is used 4th, will be it will not be used regularly, as to put it that way. And helps us in a way of not having to send shuttle buses out there. It keeps us in closer proximity with the other shared parking areas if necessary. So we just wanted to make sure that it was okay with Planning Commission, that we enter the agreement that way versus just going ahead amongst the attorneys, which usually is never a good idea, and make sure that you were all understanding of the situation and if it would be allowable to do that. I did want to point out that there have been a number of conditions that have been met over the course of the year. I just want to point out that the cost, the initial cost of this project came in exponentially high at the tail end of, at the tail end of the extreme COVID event. Materials were excessive. Everything was very excessive. So the cost of building this was very high. Our team has gone back and value engineered this project on numerous occasions. And has obviously, as you've been told, reduced the square footage of the building in order to accommodate for a smaller footprint, which means a hopefully smaller price tag in the build. The landscape island, I believe, that has been moved was a cost-saving mechanism to do that. And then the pickup lane that has been reduced to striping is similar to a lot of other pickup lanes. I believe the island was there to accommodate the landscape requirement for the additional square footage, and I may be incorrect in saying that. But I think with the reduced square footage that we have now, roughly about 1,100 square feet, the landscaping requirement, I think we do fall well within those guidelines or the ordinances that are required under that. So I do believe that this new civil drawing that has been submitted will fulfill all the requirements of the site plan approval, and obviously zoning with that as well. But as Mr. Andrews has said previously, we did want to discuss the parking agreement conditions with the Planning Commission before we agreed upon it internally.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Contravious. First off, let's make sure we all understand that. It sounds to me like we're still meeting the spirit of the original agreement. It's just that they're being placed forth. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Correct.
From my perspective, there was maybe three issues. One was what you just mentioned about the priority or because obviously when it went to the Planning Commission, that wasn't something that was discussed, and I wanted to make sure that was okay with. There was also an issue of there was a termination provision in it, and I wanted to make sure that everybody understood that under this Fraser Public School Agreement, and truthfully under all these, the other parties want to be able to reserve the right to terminate it at some point, and that obviously can impact the ability to have extreme events. So I wanted to make sure that the notice provisions in terms of timing and the ability to terminate it wasn't such that you could essentially terminate it before the extreme event occurred or whatever, and then have not enough parking. And I think that Altinia has agreed in principle to the idea that the notice provisions should track one another so that there's enough time to do it, and they understand that if worse comes to worse, if they can't find substitute parking arrangement for their extreme event, then that event doesn't
And there's
go
no
forward.
event, yeah.
The other thing was that when she went to negotiate with the total soccer people, who obviously also have need for parking for certain types of well-populated events, they asked that it be a mutual parking arrangement for overflow activities. And obviously, that was not something that was discussed by the planning commission at the prior meeting. And I felt that was a significant enough of a change that that was something that the planning commission should know about and either give their blessing to it or say, you got to figure out something else. And
Mr. Andrews, I do, on the termination provisions, matching is not an issue. I don't have a problem with matching the timelines on that. It makes complete sense. So that's not an issue on our end. In terms of the total soccer parking, the total soccer did request that it be a mutual parking agreement, meaning that they could use our lot and we could use theirs in the event of extreme events. And we did deem extreme events in both cases as the same number of people, 1,575, which is indicated, I believe, in the extreme event plan. So if Total Soccer were to have an extreme event where they would require additional parking for 1,575 patrons, which I'm not sure and I can't speak to this, but I think it rarely would happen at Total Soccer where they would have that many people at their arena or their facility. But if it were to happen, then yes, we have an obligation to coordinate amongst ourselves. And I can put in a provision in the agreement if it would make commission more secure or more able to find common ground, where we could say that it's basically, it's like a race notice, meaning that whoever gives notice of the event first gets the parking. So that way we would, there is an obligation to not have extreme events on the same days, obviously. So that wouldn't be a factor in terms of who would use the parking lot first. The reason that I did discuss having Total Soccer's used up first before Fraser's before the Big Boy Arena's parking lot is used up, is because they are next door neighbor parking lots. So it wouldn't be a big hindrance for a patron you go to the Total Soccer lot first and then go to Fraser's and vice versa, because they are interconnected with each other. And this way it would cut down on usage on each other's parking lots in general. So that was the only thing that I tried to do in terms of the mutual parking agreement. But it would be in our best interest, obviously, to make it where it's first come, first serve. So that way Total Soccer couldn't just book an event, and they wouldn't get a permit, obviously, through you all as well at the same time. So and I just want to remind Commission that obviously any extreme event that is held at Fraser or Big Boy Arena would still have to submit the proper permitting, would still have to go through the city officials in order to do that. We would have to adhere to all your conditions in terms of having shuttles, having police on site for crowd control or parking control at all times, traffic congestion, things of that nature. And we would have to give the city that advance notice. So we would not book an event and go to that extreme of having to pay a promoter should the event not be able to go through unless we had the blessing of the city to do that.
Okay. Mr. Andrews, is that?
I think that's an accurate representation. I felt that there was enough of a different scenario than what we discussed when it was up before, that the planning commission should know about those changes and say that they are okay with them or not. And because I felt like it wasn't my position to substitute my judgment about it for the planning commissions. And I think it's going to work. It sounds to me like they are very much committed to making it work, and they have some control in connection with this because they have an obligation to shuttle people back and forth from these remote lots. So they're going to be able to control some of that in that respect as well. So I think I don't think there's going to be that many extreme events, and the likelihood of having an extreme event at Fraser Hockey Land as well, and a well-attended event at Total Soccer on exactly the same day or weekend probably isn't that great. But
they would catch it ahead of time anyway. I don't think it, because of the permitting and all that, and I don't think Total Soccer can have that many people in their building. Their occupant load is a lot
I
smaller.
wanted the planning commission to be aware of what was
Well,
being discussed.
is this something, the only thing I'm wondering is, Total Soccer hasn't come to us with anything about extreme events. So now all of a sudden, it opens up another can of worms and nothing here, Fraser Hockeyland, we can move forward.
Right.
The thing is, if
But there-
Total Soccer's gonna do anything like that, they need to come to us first.
But there is at least going to be a written agreement in place between Total Soccer and the Fraser Hockeyland people. And in a sense, the city, if we give our blessing to that arrangement, then at least we're kind of aware of what is going on. And they, by that agreement, are entering into an arrangement that they are saying, we are willing to let them use our parking lot, but they have to allow us
Reciprocate.
to do the same. And they have to work it out if it turns out that there's a conflict. And if they don't.
Commissioner Warrencheck, Warnick, the only other thing I can think of is Total Soccer would probably have to have additional parking lots in order to accommodate that many people. So they don't have carte blanche to use Fraser Hockeyland or Big Boy Arena's parking lot. They would not be able to just take over our entire parking lot for the day of an extreme event. They would just as we have, with as huge of a parking lot as we have, they would more than likely have to come before the Planning Commission or before City Council in order to get the extreme event or the sort of permitting that is necessary to do that, and have to have ancillary parking lots as well to accommodate that many people. And as you correctly stated, I don't believe their capacity allows for that many people. Hockeyland's a pretty expansive facility, and Total Soccer probably does not have the fire code or the zoning for that many people to be in that building. So I don't foresee it as being a huge issue, but I do agree with Mr. Andrews in that we just wanted to make the commission aware, so that way there weren't any surprises or any unknowns, and that way everyone could move forward with complete transparency.
It's just giving back what they're giving to you guys. You're giving back.
Correct.
And just don't see it happening like in that extreme. Commissioner Farina's been waiting.
I want to know, in your opinion, what is the best for the city? Not what's best for them, what's best for us?
I think that this arrangement is going to work and is suitable. I think it's a dramatic improvement over what you have in most instances where you have handshake agreements and people change and all that. We're going to have written agreements that are going to be in recordable format so that they will be recorded against the property. So if the property owners change hands, the future property owners are still going to be bound by that because that will show up on their title work. I'm not saying that there's never going to ever be an issue, but I think we're very much way ahead of where we would have been otherwise.
Then that you're counseling us that this is acceptable, this is the way to go.
And it definitely has covered. I mean, starting with this board, before I was even on it, going to that progress, or to that happening was great for the city, and you don't see it in other cities. You don't see, they're haphazard everywhere. This is an organizational thing that's really helping, I think, all around. It helps the applicant, it helps the neighboring businesses, it helps everybody. So the city too, so that's what I think. I have some other comments on some of the other things, but does anybody else have anything on this? Commissioner Murray?
How does it work with, we've talked about Fraser Hockeyland and Total Soccer, but what is the amount of parking that is going to be used for the Lions Club? How many spaces?
It's back in our previous
Honestly, I apologize for not having it in front of me. I did send it to Mr. Andrews, but I do believe that when the spots are consolidated or all the spots are accounted for, I do believe we follow Mr. Erbil's recommendation in terms of allotment or in terms of requested additional spots. I apologize for not having that in front of me. Unfortunately, I don't think I printed out a copy of it on my. I can see if I can find it in the meantime.
The parking spaces, are you using just the asphalt parking, or are you going to be using the grassed soccer fields behind the Lions Club? Is that part of the agreement? How does that work in the winter months when most of your extreme?
Well, hold on, because you, being a new member, Commissioner Meyer, this was all discussed in previous meetings, and we progressed over a long time to get to where we're at. So it's kind of hard we need to go back to previous meetings, and I would rather you did that because you'll get much more information that way. I can't expect their attorney to know all the things we discussed in the meetings, and the petitioners were different people, and there's just too many factors there that I just want to stop it at this point with that, because it's something you'll have to do on your own to get the background information that you're asking for. It's there, we've discussed it all, and it would take, this might start a chain. It would take so long, and we'd just be talking the same things over again.
And it's an approved plan already.
It's an approved plan, too. All we're asking for is an extension. The only thing I have, nobody else has anything else. You can still, I'm going to bring up, if we go back to that drawing of this new site plan. Can we get to that? We're not doing anything, first off, the building size. That's an improvement. It's reducing number of parking spaces, but we're not reducing parking spaces, so we're good there. The landscaping of the island, I don't think is an issue. The median, the lanes, it's good to have a bypass lane. And the other way really got rid of a bypass lane. So with a raised area, I think this is going to be better. Because now if somebody's in line and they got to get out, they can go right over those striped lines. That's why so many businesses do it with just striping. And if you put in a curbed area, I can picture Tim Hortons, for example. When they line up in the morning, you've probably been there, and you can't get out, and you're stuck. Even if those lines stop, and if you're in a hurry, you're not getting out of that line. You're not backing up, you're not going forward, and you're not going over the medians on both sides at all. So I like this. I don't know how the rest of the commission feels, but it makes the most sense, and it's a requirement in a lot of cities to have a bypass lane. So that's my view. Anybody else have anything?
What's your view, Paul?
My view is that this plan upholds the spirit of the last approval, and
The bypass lane.
I think the bypass lane. I tend to agree that the exit happened when this was a raised curb. The exit happened here, right. So there was that one place where you could exit. This opens up a little bit more. I guess I don't see a compelling reason that this change is a negative.
Anybody else?
I just said, we got this letter from you, Paul, from the lawyers, from their lawyer. And in that letter, it says that they have completely resurfaced, restriped, and re-asphalt the Hockelon parking lot that has been completely resurfaced, restriped, and re-asphalt. That's not true.
That's,
Commissioner Farina, I apologize. That was my mistake. I meant the
Lawyers are
north
very
parking lot.
precise in their wording.
We have not resurfaced and restriped the entire Hockeyland parking area because of the fact that once construction does begin, we will have to do some site work.
they're going to tear it all out.
That will in essence have to rip up what has been resurfaced and restriped. So that is more towards the end of the project, or once the site work is completed, in order to make sure that we can hook up.
But you are telling me it will be
to
done.
retention and stormwater drainage and things of that nature.
Part of the site plan, so it's got to be done. I meant to bring that up too right then, because when I went there, it looks beautiful. They redid the whole back. I was here for so many years when they had parking blocks were all over the place. It was, hey, you definitely damage your car driving back there. They did a phenomenal job. It's all re-asphalted in the back, that north side and the rear. I think they did a great job. It's already restriped. So I see that at least something's happening.
That's an area that's not done. We purposely didn't do it because we've got to.
Because you're going to tear up everything.
Utilities, and we would have been.
Yeah.
All right, the lamp posts in the back lot, in the north lot, need some work.
Well, we still got, this will all be part of the final stuff. But I did want to bring up one thing, and it's where you're going to do the work. But I'm wondering how many people have driven over that 4-inch pipe that projects 5 inches out of the ground in the parking lot, right, the existing parking lot, and it's probably 12 feet from the curb toward Utica. You can't miss it. It's a trip thing.
Cones or something around.
Yeah, put a fluorescent cone over it. I'm sure somebody's done something to their tire over that thing. It's sharp metal.
I can certainly get that taken.
Yeah, just look at that, because I did a thorough examination, and I was just so glad that they did the other thing after all the years. It needed to be done a long time ago. But I understand the front isn't going to be touched, and that did sound, it was just in your letter that it sounded.
And I apologize, I misspoke on that. I meant the north area, and it's my mistake.
But I knew that. I knew they weren't going to do the front without starting construction first.
For you, sir. When do you plan on starting?
That's one of the reasons I came today. We had a little miscommunication. Our civil engineer did not get this site plan to Paul as quickly as he was supposed to, and we found out, it didn't get sent. That being said, I have a full set of drawings that we're taking to the building department later this week. And I wasn't sure what the process would be to get this approval so we could move to the building department, because with the weather coming, we would like to start foundations immediately, and my contractor's telling me he can have an excavator on site on Monday.
But you still got to go through permitting.
But it's got to go through permits.
So it's up to the review process for the
Exactly.
building
We have to get
department.
all the right permits, and that's why I say we're going to take the drawings over there.
Yeah, so hopefully you'll get some progress out of there quick, so you guys can get moving and avoid the
Well, and it's not
bad weather.
unusual to get partial.
Right, for foundation.
Foundations.
Yep.
And Chairperson Warnick, that was one request that I was hoping to speak with the commission about today, if possible. One of these site plan conditions is that no permits are to be issued prior to the executed and recorded, condition 14, meaning that we can't even have site plan permits. The property split has been halted until we have all these agreements signed, recorded, and executed. And one request I would hopefully make to the commission is to either amend that language to say no certificate of occupancy is to be issued, or something along those lines, in order to accommodate the site work that needs to happen as quickly as possible for the frost deadline 1 and 2, so that the assessor's office is comfortable in moving forward on the split for the property. Because if we cannot split the property, then we can't actually get a permit because we don't have an address to attach to the permit. So it's kind of a domino effect on all of these projects that are going forward, or all these different departments.
Yeah, that's a common problem when that this kind of operation works. Commissioner Farina?
Yeah, my personal opinion is my opinion. This has gone on so long that they've had almost 2 years to get the site plan, not the site plan, but the parking agreement in place, and you're just now getting serious about it. So that was put in there because there was nothing happening on the parking agreements. And it was put in there as a stick to make sure that happened. And I think that was done at your council. But my memory fails me on that. So what would you say now?
Well, I think the planning commission has clearly got their attention, and we are, I mean, truthfully, I think I didn't feel comfortable signing off on the parking agreements until I got this feedback from the planning commission tonight. If you folks feel comfortable with us moving forward along the lines of what was discussed tonight, I believe that those parking agreements can be, finalized within probably a week or so. I mean, I completely concur with you that it took a very long time to get these I mean, I remember saying at a meeting a long time ago, we are not going to have parking agreements that are on cocktail napkins or whatever. We need to have recorded documents but the documents that Altinia has prepared, are 90% there, with the other 10% coming from the input from the Plan Commission. If the Plan Commission is comfortable with the idea that Fraser Public Schools would be the last site to be used, and that it was okay to have a mutual agreement with respect to Total Soccer and Fraser Hockey Land, rather than it only be a one-way direction. I think I'm confident that we can complete this very short.
So what do you want to do? Do you want a motion to that?
No, I don't think we need a motion. I mean, I wanted your direction, and I feel like maybe you can talk amongst, have discussion to see whether everybody's on board with that idea. But I just felt like there was the things that were coming up as a result of the comments from the other parties involved were not things that the Planning Commission had expected or anticipated. And I felt like they were significant enough comments that I wanted to make sure that the Planning Commission was comfortable with it. Because if I signed off on it, that was not something that was acceptable to you, I felt I was going beyond the purview of what I'm supposed to be doing. And
So that added to delays then?
right.
So we're at a point, I'm sympathetic to the fact that I know the cost of materials, and I know how they've gone crazy and getting stuff. The way I look at it, if they do a foundation permit to get things rolling, they really beat the winter, because those weeks are going to matter. And then we're going to be put off another year just because of the winter.
Right.
So if they can catch those things, get them done with some assurance, though, that that's going to happen at the time. You're saying maybe a week only, or 10 days or something.
I don't think it's going to be very long.
I guess
mean, it's certainly when you're talking about a school district, they probably have to have a school board meeting. So it might not be a week or so, because if the board if the superintendent hasn't discussed this with the board or got approval of that legal agreement, it might take them 30 days to get that. But it's not like we don't have a very close working draft that we're just about there. I mean,
It's
for
a
long time,
technicality
we had
only.
nothing but promises, and I feel like we're way past that.
We're way past the promise stage. And the way I look at it, they put a foundation in, it's at their own risk. If something did fall apart,
They're putting money into.
they're putting that money in.
So if the
So,
agreements fail, then they're
yeah.
out of that.
So I don't see how stopping them from proceeding because of that issue is going to
As long
hurt
as they-
anything
as long
except
as they know
themselves.
It's at their own risk and.
Yes.
And that there's
And-
no
and
promises
Chair-
if.
Chairman
beyond
Warnick,
that.
we are willing to take that risk because we are certain that the progress, as Mr. Andrews has spoken of so far, the progress that has been made has been significant. I'm not sure if you did say that you went to the facility recently, but we have pre-purchased materials. We have things on site waiting, and that we are bearing the cost of right now. So in terms of Commissioner Farina's discussion of the stick, the cost of doing all this is a pretty big stick to us at this point. So we have more than enough incentive, besides obviously making the planning commission satisfied with the work that's done in the city of Fraser, proud of the work. If we don't complete this project or don't begin work, then we've invested a lot of time, effort, and money that will have been for nothing. So we are definitely eager and definitely committed to completing this project. And I know I said it in my letter, but the goal of this project was never, to hurt the city of Fraser. The goal of this project is to add and to bring more business to the city of Fraser, as Hockeyland, the Big Boy Arena, has done for 4 decades plus, maybe somewhere around there. And so that's our goal, is to bring Big Boy, to Fraser and to the east side and bring it back to the community that it hasn't been a part of for quite some time. So that's what we want to do, and we want to do that as quick as possible. And yes, it has been a project that has taken longer than is to be expected. And I know you hear it a lot, but COVID did affect everything across the board in terms of staffing, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of materials, in terms of timelines, trying to get builders, trying to get engineers, trying to get drawings done, surveys, everything that had to be done in order to get to this point has been like walking in quicksand. But hopefully at this point, and we plan to be out of it and be ready to go as soon as you all hopefully approve us to move forward and get that property split, to get the address, to get the permitting in place, to begin the site work that needs to happen.
Thanks. I think that's the problem, was all the spokes in this wheel, like coming together, because just doing the building wouldn't have been this hard.
No.
It's the fact of the events thing, the parking, the shared parking, it all added to it, and it pushed this thing to go as long as it did, and it's a shame we couldn't start one thing sooner or do it, but that's the way the process works, to guarantee that the city's going to get the cooperation too. So we appreciate everything. I think it's going to be an added thing for the city. And I look forward to the movement of it. And if you got materials out there, you got to start using them, or they're just going to get rusted or whatever. So on that, Frank, you?
I think we were supposed to have a discussion on giving Clark direction. And from my standpoint, I agree with schools being the fourth. I think that's a good idea. Okay, so I don't have any problem going forward in that manner, and I don't care about the reciprocal.
Altini, I think that if the planning commission is inclined to move forward in this way, you need to put in writing that you will submit the revised site plans with the shrunken, if you haven't already done it, maybe they're already in the mill.
Go ahead.
And then the other thing is, I think that in connection with your request to get foundation permits as soon as possible, that you should put in writing on behalf of your client that they understand that that's at their own peril and risk, and there's no guarantees that they're going to get full permits down the road or whatever, unless all of it complies with the requirements of the city.
Okay. Understood.
Everybody in agreement? Okay, so I'll make that motion to extend for 12 more months the site plan approval for SP 21-08, 34400 Utica Road, Outlot Development, with,
No modification.
how we do this site plan amendment.
I think, haven't they already submitted it and to you already?
It was emailed to me, yep.
Okay. So
It still needs review, though, by
be
you.
reviewed and that they have to agree that they will make whatever revisions to the site plan required by the city planner so that, and I would think that probably the planning commission might want to put this on their agenda for next month
To-
after he completes his review and makes his formal recommendation. I think we ought to have an approval of that revised site plan because it
Okay.
change the size of the building.
Do we-
and other changes.
I agree.
Do we I agree, too. Do we make that into the motion, a subject of of that? Any site plan, okay, I'll continue where I stopped. Any, the site plan amendment goes through the review process with the city planner and is brought back to us at September 7th meeting of this year. But we give our blessings on the continuation of obtaining foundation permits
Their risk.
at their own risk, and future permits not
Would be
allowed
withheld
withheld
unless they
until we're fully complied with the site plan expectations.
Didn't you say they agree to make all changes recommended
Right.
to the site plan also?
Right. Altinia, did you hear that? That if we are going to move forward with allowing this extension without having already approved the revised site plans, you have to agree on the record that your client is going to make whatever requirements that the planner comes back with in terms of comments that are required by the ordinance in order to have the site plan comply with the city codes and zoning ordinance.
Absolutely. No, Paul has been nothing but reasonable this entire time. I don't foresee there being any issues in terms of site plan review. So we do agree that we will follow these zoning ordinances and Paul's recommendation in terms of site plan review.
Because the alternative to that is to postpone approval to extend the site plan, but then say we're not going to do anything with respect to foundation permits or anything until after the site
Understood.
plan gets approved at the September or meeting or whenever it did
Right.
get done. But
Which would
I
waste,
think we're getting pretty.
a month helps, any month helps, so. Is that complete, my motion then? Okay, do we have a
Second.
second?
Mr. Chair, I just have one comment.
Yeah.
If we can put a specific date to the termination, to the extension, that's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
So would it
Yeah.
be August
So we would
17th?
say, we'd have to look at what August meeting is. Like, it was August 4th that the meeting was last year, and now we're August 3rd, so what is it in 2023?
The calendar, hold on a minute.
I think the language in the zoning ordinance adds a period of 1 year from the approval.
Right.
Oh, yeah, so we're going 365 days from this
I
date.
mean, the standard approval is good for a year, so.
Right.
Commissioner Zarnek, you're asking just to make the extension to the meeting date?
Yes, yes.
And I'll add that to my motion then, extension to the meeting date of August of 2023.
Can you
Yes.
give me a little leeway for underground utilities?
Oh, well, your whole thing is just, once the permit's once your progress is there, if you have 180 days of inactivity, your permit expires, so.
I've got steel sitting in the yard, you know, and we can excavate. So can we extend me past the permits? Can we pass the foundation until the next meeting, if I'm able to make?
Oh, if you're able to get
At
to
my
that point?
risk.
Yeah, it's at your own risk. Yeah, I would say, because you're not going to get the building permit that fast.
No.
You'll get the foundation permit fast, I hope, but you're not going to get that anyway till I'm sure the next meeting or so, maybe a week before or so, but I have no problem with that if anybody else doesn't. I want to see.
The first Wednesday meeting in August of 2023 is August 2nd.
Okay, so we're moving down a day every time anyway. So it'll still beat the 1 year, if that's the case. And hopefully we don't have to go to that. So if all the permits are in place.
We absolutely plan to be done before then.
Yeah, I think so too.
Either that or you'll be broke before then.
All right, so, motion on the table, do we have a support? Supported by Commissioner Frein, I want to make sure, because Chairman Zarnecki, or Commissioner Zarnecki, what do I call you? I'll get used to that eventually. Brought up something, so, okay. So, do we have a roll call?
And it was supported by Farina, you said?
Supported by Commissioner Farina.
Okay. Commissioner Barr?
Yes.
Commissioner Zarnicki?
Yes.
Commissioner Farina?
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
Chair Warnick?
Yes. So motion passes. Congratulations there. We can get this thing moving, and hopefully we see some buildings next year.
Thank you.
I want to thank you all very much for your help in getting this accomplished. So thank you very much.
Thanks for being with us tonight.
We'll see you at the restaurant before.
Sorry we took away from your vacation.
Next time we'll have to invite you to the grand opening.
Okay, good.
Thank
I
you.
have
Thanks.
one question. I thought Big Boys was bankrupt.
No.
No?
Altini, I'm going to take you off.
All right, thanks.
No, that was back in 2000 is when they declared bankruptcy. And at that time, a purchaser stepped up and bought the company, and then he sold it 3 years ago. So we have a different ownership group.
Okay.
Actually, we've got a lot of activity going. We have
Good.
just opened our second store in Las Vegas. I've got two coming up in Nevada. We're going to have our first true brick and mortar store in Bangkok. And we're doing 10 more this year and 70 right after that.
I miss Big Boys.
Since we met with you, we opened a store in Wisconsin. We've got 2 more going in Wisconsin.
That's a good sign.
And some folks in Florida that we're talking.
Good.
That's good news.
Yes.
How many total now?
70. Not counting the 200 in Japan.
Oh, wow.
200 in Japan?
Yeah, that went way back before the bankruptcy. And the ownership at that time didn't fulfill part of the license. A representative of the company has to visit Japan once a year. Well, at the point they were going through bankruptcy, nobody visited, so it violated the license, so they're not affiliated with us anymore. But they still have the Big Boy character, the
That's
Big
what I
Boy
was wondering.
sign,
Yeah.
but they don't have burgers. They're steakhouses.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
It's really strange.
That's different.
Ooh, I
So the
like
big boy
that.
character, though, is still,
Oh, absolutely.
okay.
Yeah, and obviously, I said Thailand. We're international. Everybody sees Frisch's as they go down to
Yeah.
Ohio, that's a separate company. They're one of the original franchisees, so they have Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee.
Okay.
But we have a very good relationship with them. So,
Good, but they are their own entity then.
well, it depends on where you go. In Toledo, they've got our character. On all the highway signs, it's our character, but their statue's a little weird in some of the stores.
I always wondered, between the Elias Brothers Big Boy versus Frisch's, it is two different for ownership-wise.
Yeah, when they originally made all the deals with all the different territories. They were licenses rather than franchises.
Okay.
And whoever the ownership group was got to put their name on it. So there was actually 70 different versions
Well,
all over the
We
country.
got our history lesson today.
Go.
there you go.
All right, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jablonski.
Yep, we'll see. Now, next month, would you be bringing it back in? You'll be back? Okay.
Okay.
We'll see you then. Thanks. Okay. Unfinished business, we have none. Public communications and non-agenda items. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to talk? I see nothing. Zoning Board of Appeals member liaison report.
We have not had a meeting, and this month's meeting was canceled, last month's meeting was canceled, and I think there's something coming up next month, correct?
Yeah, I'll be in touch with you about what the agenda for that meeting will be.
But we did have something in June, and we talked, didn't you?
I think the ZBA's last meeting was March,
Oh, okay.
maybe March and April this
There
year.
wasn't any.
Those are the only meetings this year.
Okay.
And we did have an application on file, but it was, in reviewing that application, we found that a variance had been granted that permitted the thing that was originally denied in 1995 or so.
All right. Commissioners' comments, items of interest or concern. Let's start with Commissioner Barr.
Nothing at this time.
Commissioner Zarnicki.
Just something that I would like to bring up to the administration, that maybe we can address transparency going forward. I was looking at shooters and see all the signage on the windows. I was wondering if we could come up with an ordinance that kind of puts a percentage as to how much signage can cover a window. That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Can I
go
just
ahead.
mention that there is a temporary sign ordinance on file that says that number is 20%.
20%? Okay.
And so,
That's allowed.
That is allowed for temporary.
But that's always been that. It's not, isn't that on all window signage? I don't know if it's.
That's for, well, maybe it's two separate issues. There's in the sign ordinance, a provision that you may have up to 20% of your windows covered with temporary signs, like what we were talking about. Transparency, I guess, like adding that as sort of a blanket definition, yes,
For a site plan approval.
Sure,
Okay.
sure, yeah.
Because people use that for a permanent signage
Yes.
thing, too. And that happens all the time.
Temporary signs have become permanent.
Yeah, yeah. And then they try to figure it out different ways. Instead of squaring it off, they try to use the letter and not the even blank spaces of the letter. You can see all kind of things, but. Okay, Commissioner Farina.
Taco Bell.
Yes.
Hey, quiero Taco Bell.
So I'll start with the punchline, which is that I don't have a solution for you yet, but the entire administration is aware that there's a problem. The applicant or the developer is aware that there's a problem. So last summer, the applicant submitted a drawing to me and planted the 17 U's that to address this issue. Those were planted fairly small, and I don't know if they were just never irrigated or if they were
Yeah, there's
just
a couple
planted very
bad.
poorly. So they never had a chance. You know, they weren't going to do it in the beginning, and they were never going to have a chance.
But they do keep cutting them and making them look fairly good, even the dead ones. So they're consistent, but they won't let them grow if they're going to keep doing that, too.
Right.
So, yeah, I took a picture the other day again, because it's like, that doesn't meet the spirit of what we want here at all.
Not at all. So we have reached out to the applicant and requested that, you know, there needs to be a different solution, suggesting that they should be replanted, and we're asking for you know, what is your solution to ameliorate this, and suggesting that I think one solution is to replant larger bushes. The code enforcement officer, who has also been hearing complaints, is advocating for more than that, but we're working on it, but unfortunately I don't have it will be remedied on the state
I
yet.
think we can still be flexible with, like, if they want to take it downward at the other end as they're coming, so people can see back there. The main thing is the light shining on there, so it doesn't have to be the same all the way down, what they're doing. Let them come up with a design if they want to dress it up and make it look more attractive instead of being solid wall.
In the beginning, they maintained, and I think it was, the wording of the thing was to address the cars that are sitting perpendicular, but it is obviously an issue for more cars than that, so.
Yeah. We'll get there eventually, right?
You know, the issue was always when you turned in,
When you turn, yeah.
you know, not perpendicular to, when you turned in, the
Right, yes, yeah.
lights were,
Facing at an angle as you're coming that way. So,
okay.
all right. Anything else?
No, for all of you who weren't involved, the elections happened yesterday, and they went great. The city did a good job. August 19th, 20th, and 21st is St. Malachy's Church Festival. It's going to be the first 3-day festival since pre-COVID. You're all welcome to come. It's a great community event, and there are a number of new items, including a new craft beer tent that's going to be there with younger entertainment. So young guys like Kenny can go there.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks. Commissioner Kyle isn't here, so Commissioner Meyer.
I was just wondering what's happening with the property on 13 and Grosbeck, the one that's fenced off now? Is there any?
I thought you did something about that or it's up for sale, or is it?
Yeah, it was up for sale. There was a code enforcement citation issued for the blight in an effort to get something happening. It was put up for sale. There was some conversation about potential buyers that were asking what the possibilities were there, but that's all I have, or that's all my knowledge of it.
And there's an issue with that site that they don't have enough parking for that particular building? Isn't that what I heard? Was it
Yes. There was supposed to be a shared parking agreement with the brother owned the store in front.
Oh, okay.
And there was supposed to be a shared parking agreement
Okay.
put on record. Was that ever done?
I'll look into that. I don't believe that that's the case, but.
Well, it would have gone to
I don't
you.
remember seeing one.
Yeah.
Well,
Probably added to why he sold or backed out.
Right.
Thank you.
All right. Nothing else on any more, Commissioner Meyer?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Perry.
Nothing at this time.
Thanks. And Chair Warnick, nothing that, I mean, we covered so much today. It's just good to see you all. We 2 months without a meeting again?
We'll have their revised plan.
So we're coming in September.
We definitely have a meeting in September.
2 in a row. We're starting again. That's what we need to do, is see more changes, more things happening. It's just, does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I so moved, Mr. Chair.
Okay, any support?
I second.
All right. We got you involved this time. Okay. You don't need a roll call. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No nays. End the meeting. It's a long one, 9:35.